You can hear me? Excellent. Okay, great. All right, let's get this started. We've got the first of our mini MBA track, and we're very lucky to have two experts in funding from the accelerator VC side. So if you are a founder, an entrepreneur looking for funding, and let's be honest, who's not looking for funding? I'd be really pleased to introduce. We've got Sarah from Blockchain Founders Group, Ricardo from Outlier Ventures. Come on up. They're going to tell you some tips of the trade and get you funded in 2024.
Can you hear? Ah, perfect. Thank you so much. So, what are you selling? This is, for me, the most important and the main question. So what is Tesla selling? What is Rolex selling? What is Apple selling? They don't sell a phone, they don't sell a car, and they also don't sell a watch. They sell a certain dream, they sell innovation, they sell tech, or they sell luxury and status. And why do I mention that? Because many things are different in Web3, but not everything. And at the end, if somebody is asking you, what are you selling? It's not that you're pitching what you have developed, but you need to sell something that people want to have, like an urge, like something, okay, I really want to get that. Like, for example, being part of a community, or maybe having access to DeFi products because you can't do it on your own. And DeFi products, having access to DeFi products mostly is related to, oh, I also want to get rich, I want to be part of that party. So what are you selling? And this is, from my point of view, one of the most important things if you pitch whatever you are doing, because you never sell, like coming back to Apple, if you want to have a phone, there are way cheaper options than buying an iPhone. And I think this is, like, from my perspective, one of the most important things in pitching to a VC. So my name is Gottwald. I'm the managing director of Blockchain Founders Group. And if you don't take anything away but what I've said in the last 2 minutes, I'm already happy. Because if you can answer that super precisely, the chances are really high that you at least get the chance to pitch, to get in a deeper talk, and to kind of connect with the potential VC who might invest in your product at the end. So, I think you all know about all the other possibilities. You know that you can bootstrap a company, crowdfunding, grants, and you can also have angel investors. But there's one thing before I dig deeper in the topic of pitching, which I also want to mention, and this is right down there, bank loans. Why do I want to mention that? Because most of the startups say, like, okay, it's totally impossible for me to get a bank loan. And yes, in Web3, it's even a lot more difficult. Totally true. But don't forget about that possibility. It might not be true for a startup at the very beginning. So if you're super young and you only have a pitch deck, for sure you won't be able to get a bank loan. But if you, for example, have a fully order book with maybe really companies behind buying your product, there are chances of also getting a bank loan. This is not the topic of today, not at all, but at least I want to mention it because nearly all startups do not think about that possibility. And from my point of view, this is something also important because you have to pay interest rates, sure, but yeah, might be also interesting. So, what is venture capital about? I mean, we are sometimes like the glorified money makers, but we are also, we as VCs also present ourselves to other corporate investors or high net worth individuals. So we are also a little in between, and I think this is something you also need to keep in mind. It's not our money that we are investing, mostly, sometimes it is, but quite often it's also other people's money. And so this is why we really have to take care and really have to be super precise in what we are doing, because those other people, they expect us to return more money than they gave us. And so this is why we sometimes really have to be hard and sometimes have to ask the really challenging and hard questions because it's other people's money. And there's one thing that is also important. If you, as a VC, invest in the wrong startups, you kind of build a negative track record. And if you have a negative track record, for sure the chances of having a second or even a third fund is super small. So yeah, this is why we really have to be picky, we really have to be precise, and we really have to understand what you're doing. Yeah, life cycle, very quick. I think you know it. Seed, pre-seed, also called Valley of Death, also sometimes called drunken walk. I really like the wording because you're changing, you're struggling, you're pivoting. But at the end, if you really found product market fit, you can go to Series A, B, C, you can grow. And of course, there can be like a super great company and product at the end. And so what is product market fit? I mean, this is basically what I stated at the beginning. What do you sell? And if somebody really urges and really wants to have your product, you found product market fit. And there are like two, I know it's not Web3, but I think it's so true what they say. If you want a good marketing advice, make stuff that people want. It's so easy. And of course, it's the most difficult thing at the same time. But if you can have the best solution ever, but if nobody wants to pay for the solution because the problem, the pain is just super small, you won't grow. And so if you found product market fit, people will go like whatever you have like crazy. And then you don't need to pitch and try to sell, because if you really found product market fit, people will come and they will, whatever you have, they will try to get it. So how do VCs assess a pitch deck? And I wrote a number here, 200 seconds. So, well, there is never a chance, or there's never a second chance for a first impression. So if somebody is opening up your pitch deck and it looks like, I don't know what they are doing basically. He might spend 200 seconds like trying to figuring out what the team is building or what they are doing or which problem they are solving. And if you can't make a good impression within those 200 seconds at the very beginning, it might be super hard because like we're getting so many decks, we're getting so many startups, and so we have to make a quick decision at least to whom we kind of dig deeper and talk and like to understand. So it's like 200 seconds. I know it's sometimes super hard, and I know it's sometimes, especially if you have tech products, it's hard to explain in 200 seconds, but this is another thing. Try to understand where the VC has knowledge. Because if you pitch like a real deep tech product, but they are normally doing something totally different, they won't get what you're doing. And so also try to understand what the VC is focusing on and what they are doing. Rather less slides, because too many slides are overwhelming. Pitch deck with a gut feeling, so sometimes it's always like, okay, I think it looks great, I need to invest more time. And of course, always try to get an in-person pitch, but I think this is a no-brainer. I also like that slide because it's not, on the right side, it's VCs and also successful startups. And it's like, where do we focus on? And the interesting thing is, you always have like the purple spots, basically, they're always in the same thing. And what is it? Problem, solution, product, team, basically. And I mean, it really, these are the most important things. And still, I do get pitch decks, and I'm like, I don't see the problem, I don't see the solution, I don't understand the team. Do they have the needed knowledge? Do they know what they are doing? Is the market big enough? So I think this is like a really clear guideline. These are the most important things, and line them out, try to explain, and be precise, because people don't have a lot of time. What is venture capital about? Early stage, basically focusing on founders. Mid-stage, team, and of course traction. So you need to be able to scale. If you have a product that can't be scaled, it can be a great company, but it's not interesting for VC because a VC needs a company that can be scaled because, we need to return more money than we got. So this is why we need companies that scale. And late stage, of course, what are the exit possibilities and where's the startup going in the long term? So how is the startup positioned and how then it might not be a startup anymore. So we are a little repeating here market, team, and timing. We need sometimes to be really brutally honest and really on the point because it's wasting time for both of us. So we as accelerators, because we are both, Ricardo and me, we are accelerators, so we are trying to help and build and really trying to support you on your journey. But if you pitch to a VC, the VC is not in the stage of helping and supporting you. They want to know how good are you, and then they need to be brutally honest, they need to be on the point, because it's for both ends wasting time. If you have a product and for any reason, clearly there is no product market fit, it's also wasting time for you because it would be better to be able to pivot soon, because if you pivot and then you find product market fit, your success story is also a big one and a lot better. Guidelines, so pitch deck. Be consistent, be precise, have clear action titles, prioritize content, and, okay, it looks a little strange, doesn't matter, and of course use tools that kind of help you. So not too many slides, really clear, structured, really easygoing, and really precise. And so another thing that I really like is the quote here. And nobody knows who really said it. This is why I put so many names here in a small font. I'm writing to you a long letter because I don't have time for a short one. Nobody really knows who said it. Maybe it was Johann Wolfgang Goethe. But what is meant here is what has not been thought through to the end requires many words. So if you know exactly what you're telling, you know exactly your product, you know exactly your market, you should not need 10 slides to explain it. I mean, later on, of course, we need to dig deeper, and there are many things to understand. But at the very beginning, people don't want to dig super deep. They want to know, do you know your business? And did you put in all the effort that is needed to now be precise? And really try to be short. Try to be short and super clean. And again, a Web 2 example, but I think it's so easy to understand and so easy to grab. So, bad example, we are going to transform the relationship between individuals and information. And believe me, I do get those kind of pitch decks. I have no clue what they are doing. There are like some buzzwords, transform, individual, information, relationship. It sounds great, but I have no clue what they are doing. And so Airbnb is the first one marketplace that lets travelers book rooms with locals instead of hotels. Now I know exactly what they are doing. And this might be the difference overall. Because coming back to the 200 seconds, if you open up a pitch deck and you have the right version, the bad example, it's like, okay, I can have a look, I don't know, I'm not getting it, and it feels already like, did they put in the effort? Because I'm spending other people's money and I want to return more money. So I also need to be precise in what I'm doing. And you just, sometimes bringing up one sentence that describes everything in such a good and precise way, it can take weeks. But if you found that, you're maybe also a lot clearer on what you're doing and building. So this is important. Again, problem, statement, challenge. So sometimes people are building something great, but the problem is not big enough. So there is a problem, and you have an amazing solution, but the problem is so tiny and so small because maybe it's like, I don't know, some cents per day or only worth some cents a week, or I don't know, you can spend, like whatever it is, but the problem is too small. People still don't want to pay something, because if the time until you get your return back is like 10 years, nobody is interested in that. So really try to understand, is there a problem? And it's also called, try to not ask your friends and family because they like you. They try to give you positive feedback. They try to push you and help you and, oh yeah, build something, do it. But try to ask somebody who is you don't know, and at the end try to ask, what would you pay? And sometimes go out, go to a conference, go there with a contract and say, would you sign it right now? It's, I don't know, $100 per month or whatever. And if people are like, oh, maybe later, and I don't know, and I have to go through, and you can see. If you pitch it, and you don't have the contract thing with you, they are like, oh yeah, it sounds great. And then if you want to sign, you pay me now, every month $100, people change. And this is the main difference. And yeah, this is what we are searching for: problem, challenge, solution. Solution, product, I think I said it already. Yeah, give investors an understanding of your product, explain what you're doing. I know sometimes it's super difficult, but try to break it down. Traction, that changed over the last couple of months a lot. Now revenue is getting more and more important. It became more important, I think, since maybe 9 to 10 months. VCs are really trying to understand, can you make revenue? And so how long do you need external money? Or can you be able to finance your startup yourself on your own sooner or later? And try to choose the right KPIs, because not every KPI always works for every startup. Market fit, go to market. You also need to have a market that is available. If the market is super tiny, you also can't scale. And sometimes for VC, maybe the product is also great, but if the market is not available, there's again a problem from our side, because we need to have a huge product, huge startup, a lot of revenue, and then maybe a great exit case. Competition, also important, because I see those metrics quite often, and the startups are always top right. So for sure, I mean, you must be better in any way, but still the others might be doing a good job anyway as well. So try to really emphasize and really pick where are you better and why are you better, and really know your competitors. Because sometimes I'm like, okay, and do you know that company and that company and that company? And if it's, oh no, and oh yeah, I can check it, and really know what the others are building, especially if the others might start earlier, or maybe they have like a huge fund, or maybe they already made like a huge fundraiser whatsoever. It's hard to compete and to pick up. It can be possible, but know what the others are doing. Financials, detailed financial breakdown is not necessary at the beginning, but at least understand for how much do you want to sell your product and how many customers do you need to at least grow. So it's a difference whether you sell for €1, for 100, to 1,000. You need 10 customers, you need 100. So just know a little your numbers. Of course, give a roadmap. So something like 18 months is great, so that we at least get the feeling that you know what you're building on. Team, it's coming here at the end, but I mentioned it already several times. The team is, at the beginning, the most important thing. Nothing else matters, because you can change, you can pivot, but if you have the feeling like the team doesn't stick together, the team doesn't know the market, the team doesn't know what they are building, you have only CEO potential or only CTO potential, yeah, it's easy to explain, but make sure you have the right people on board. And it's like a marriage. You stay together maybe for 10 years, so really think whether you really want to be with that person for so long, and try to have the hard talk at the very beginning. Funding requirements, I think everything had been said. And one last thing, and then I will hand over: focus. Focus, focus, focus. As an accelerator, I work quite often with teams, and what's happening is like, we have like 10 priorities, or maybe even 20. So in earlier years, there was not priority doesn't exist. You have one priority and you can't have like 10. It's like a single thing. And mostly the hardest things are the most important things. And it's so easy to get interrupted by 10 other things. And I think for me the most important thing is to have a priority and to then stick to the priority. And the second thing I'm struggling with so often, emails, phones, calls, anything urgent, have your priorities clear and stay with your priorities. If not, there are so high chances you get disturbed by many things. And, okay, sorry, this was too fast. But, yeah, thank you for listening. And now, Ricardo.